This video is about she was just a gardener until a rich CEO stopped and smiled. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. She was just a gardener until a rich CEO stopped and smiled. In the heart of a bustling city, nestled between towering glass buildings, lay a forgotten pocket of green, a community garden that hummed with life. It was a sanctuary for the weary and a canvas for dreams. The garden was tended by a woman named Clara, a humble gardener whose hands were as calloused as her heart was tender. Every day, Clara would rise with the sun, her hands eagerly digging into the soil, coaxing life from the earth. The scent of fresh basil and blooming daisies enveloped her as she worked each plant, a testament to her unwavering dedication. Despite the challenges she faced, Clara found solace in the simple act of nurturing the garden. Yet, beneath her calm exterior, Clara fought her own storms. Her husband had passed away 2 years prior, leaving behind an empty home and a heart filled with grief. Bills piled up like weeds in the corners of her life. Her tiny income from the garden's produce barely covered the essentials. Still, she pressed on, fueled by a resilience that was rooted deep within her soul. One day, as Clara tended to the vibrant tomatoes, she noticed a figure walking toward her. Clad in an immaculate suit, the man exuded an air of authority. Clara wiped her brow and straightened her back, unsure whether to feel intimidated or curious. As he approached, she caught a glimpse of his eyes, a flicker of warmth amid the steel facade. "Hello," he said, his voice smooth like honey. "Have you seen this garden from my office window? It is beautiful." Clara smiled, a mixture of pride and humility washing over her. "Thank you, it is a labor of love." He nodded, taking a moment to observe the rows of vegetables and flowers. "You know, it is rare to see someone care so deeply about something so simple. What drives you?" She paused, contemplating his question. "I believe that growth takes time, both in the garden and in life. Each plant has its struggles, just like us, but with care, they flourish." The CEO raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "I am David, by the way. I run the tech firm across the street. I've always admired your dedication." The conversation flowed effortlessly, like water through a stream. Clara shared stories of her late husband, how they had cultivated the garden together. David listened intently, captivated by her spirit. As she spoke, he felt a sense of awakening within himself, something he had lost in the relentless pursuit of success. Days turned into weeks, and David found himself returning to the garden. At first, he merely observed, but soon he rolled up his sleeves, getting his hands dirty alongside Clara. She taught him about composting, the importance of pollinators, and the joy of planting seeds. He learned more than just gardening, he learned about patience and humility. The friendship blossomed amidst the rows of greens and flowers. Clara's laughter became a melody that echoed in David's heart, and he found himself yearning for the simple joy she exuded. He often shared stories of the corporate world, the relentless pressures of deadlines and profits, but Clara reminded him of the beauty in life's small moments. One afternoon, Clara stood amidst a sea of sunflowers, their golden heads turned toward the sun. She glanced at David, who was kneeling beside her, and noticed the shadows beneath his eyes. "He seemed troubled today," she observed gently. He sighed, resting back on his heels. "It's just work. I feel like I am losing touch with what really mattered." Clara reached out, placing a hand on his arm. "Sometimes we need to return to our roots, to remember what we truly value." He met her gaze, something flickering in his chest. "You're right, I've been so focused on climbing the ladder that I forgot what it felt like to grow." As summer deepened, so did their bond. David had started to implement small changes in his company, encouraging breaks for creativity, organizing volunteer days at the garden. Clara's influence seeped into his life, and he began to realize that wealth was not merely measured in profits, but in relationships and kindness. But the shadows of Clara's life loomed ever larger. The bills were piling up, and she faced the harsh reality of a delayed mortgage payment. Every time she opened her mailbox, dread washed over her like a cold wave. Thought of losing the garden, her sanctuary, was unbearable. One evening, as the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue across the garden, Clara sat on a bench, her heart heavy with worry. David noticed her silence and approached cautiously. "What is wrong?" "I am afraid I might lose the garden," she admitted, her voice trembling. "The mortgage is overdue, and I don't know how to keep it. This place is my life." David felt a pang of sorrow for her. He recalled the joy the garden brought to him, how it had reignited his own passion. "Clara, maybe I can help. I could invest in the garden, ensure it stays open." She shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. You don't understand, David. This place is about more than money. It is about love, community, and resilience. His heart ached for her. I get that, but I want to help you preserve it. You deserve to keep the sanctuary. Clara took a deep breath, considering his offer. She felt a mix of vulnerability and hope. What if I take your help, but we make it a community project? Let us turn it into something bigger. David's eyes lit up. What do you mean? Let us create workshops, invite people to learn about gardening, sustainability, and community. We'll make this a hub of growth, not just for plants, but for people. The idea sparked a fire within David. Yes, we could involve local schools, create a space for children to learn about nature. It could be a real movement. As they brainstormed, Clara felt the weight lift from her shoulders. Hope began to bloom like the flowers around them, and for the first time in months, she envisioned a future where the garden thrived, not just as a refuge for herself, but as a beacon of hope for others. Days turned into weeks as they worked tirelessly to turn their vision into reality. Clara and David organized classes, cooking demonstrations, and community events. The garden transformed into a vibrant hub of laughter and learning, breathing new life into the neighborhood. With every person that walked through the garden gates, Clara's spirit soared. Each seed planted was a reminder of their shared resilience, a testament to the power of community. David found joy in watching the garden flourish, finding a renewed purpose amidst the chaos of his corporate life. As autumn approached, the garden became a tapestry of colors, and Clara stood in its heart, surrounded by the fruits of their labor. With David by her side, she felt an immense gratitude swell within her. They had not only saved the garden, they had sown the seeds of hope in countless hearts. But Clara was reminded that while the garden thrived, her own heart was still navigating its grief. She had learned to embrace the joy of friendship, but the absence of her husband lingered like a shadow. A deep conversation awaited her, an exploration of how to nurture her own spirit while helping others grow. One crisp afternoon, as leaves danced on the breeze, Clara found herself lost in thought. David noticed her distance and gently nudged her. "Hey, what is on your mind?" I wonder if I'll ever fully heal from losing him," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. David took a moment, reflecting before responding. "It is okay to grieve, Clara. Your love for him will always be a part of you, but don't forget to let in the light too." Clara met his gaze, understanding dawning upon her. "You be right, I can honor his memory while still embracing new beginnings." David smiled, and in that moment, Clara felt a glimmer of hope. They were both on a journey of growth together. And as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the garden, Clara realized that sometimes it takes a kindred spirit to remind us of the beauty that lies in resilience and renewed hope. Little did she know, their story was only just beginning, with many more challenges and triumphs that would continue to shape their lives. Hush, 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 she was just a gardener until a rich CEO stopped and smiled part two. As the leaves began to turn amber and gold, Clara found herself swept up in the whirlwind of the community garden's transformation. The air was crisp with the promise of change, and each day brought new faces eager to learn and grow. Clara's heart felt like the vibrant dahlias at the dawn, the entrance full of life, yet still tinged with the bittersweet hues of her grief. Yet even amid the laughter and bustling energy, Clara found herself grappling with an unsettling emptiness. The garden thrived, but could her heart truly heal alongside it? David, sensing her struggle, remained steadfast beside her. He had become more than a friend, he was a partner in every sense of the word. Together, they cultivated not only plants but also a shared vision of hope and resilience. "Clara," David said one afternoon as they prepared for the upcoming Harvest Fest, "I love what this place has become. It is incredible to see so many people coming together, sharing their stories, their hands in the dirt. But how do you feel about everything?" Clara paused, her hands gently arranging colorful bouquets for the event. "It is beautiful, David. I had lost sight of what community felt like after losing my husband, but this garden has filled a part of me I thought was gone for good." He smiled, brushing a stray leaf away from her cheek. "You've created a sanctuary, not just for plants but for people, and you deserve to feel that warmth too." But even as she spoke with gratitude, an undercurrent of sorrow lingered beneath her words. The ghost of her past whispered in the corners of her mind, reminding her that healing wasn't a straight path. As the Harvest Fest approached, Clara found herself spiraling into nostalgia, haunted by memories of her husband working beside her in the garden. The day after the festival, Clara stood amidst the remnants of a joyous celebration. The laughter of children still echoed in her ears, the scent of fresh herbs still lingered in the air. But as she looked around, she couldn't shake the feeling of isolation that settled upon her heart. Hey, David said softly, approaching her as she inspected the wilting sunflowers. You okay? You seem distant. I miss him, Clara confessed, her voice trembling. This garden was our dream, our escape. Sometimes it feels like the more it blossoms, the more I remember what I've lost. David nodded, understanding the weight of her words. Grief is a strange companion. It doesn't just disappear when good things happen, but it doesn't mean you have to carry it alone. I am here, Clara. Let us talk about it. She looked up at him, her heart swelling with appreciation. It is hard to share that part of me. I've put on a brave face, but I still feel broken. You're not broken, Clara. You're human. David stepped closer, his eyes sincere. You're allowed to feel everything. You feel joy, sorrow, hope. They coexist, just like the seasons do. As his words settled in, Clara felt a flicker of warmth begin to thaw the icy tendrils of her loneliness. It dawned on her that she had been so focused on maintaining the garden's vibrancy that she had neglected to tend to her own heart. Thank you, David. You have no idea how much your support means to me. Days turned into weeks, and Clara made a conscious effort to embrace both the joy and grief she carried. She began holding workshops not only about gardening but also about emotional growth, inviting members of the community to share their own stories of loss, resilience, and hope. Little by little, the garden became a refuge for healing, not just for her but for others too. One evening, as the sun dipped below the city skyline, Clara stood with David beneath the blooming cherry blossom tree. They had just finished a workshop where participants shared their own struggles and triumphs. Many had expressed how the garden had helped them navigate their personal storms. Tonight was special, David remarked, leaning against the trunk of the tree, watching the petals dance in the wind. You've created an environment where people feel safe to share. Clara felt warmth swell in her chest. I realized that in nurturing others, I started to nurture myself too. It's like planting a seed. Sometimes you have to trust it will grow, even if you can't see it yet. David turned to her, admiration in his eyes. You're a remarkable woman, Clara. Your strength inspires everyone who enters this place. His words washed over her, but she felt a familiar pang of doubt creeping in. Do you really think so? I often worry that I am just pretending to be strong. You're not pretending, you're living through your truth, and that's where your strength shines. He paused, his gaze deepening with sincerity. It is okay to have moments of vulnerability. They show that you're real. As they shared a comfortable silence, Clara felt a softness in her heart that she hadn't in a long time. David had become her anchor, reminding her that strength didn't mean the absence of sorrow, but the courage to face it head-on. Weeks turned into months, and the garden continued to flourish under their care. Clara had transformed it into a space not only for gardening, but also for creativity and connection. People from all walks of life gathered to share their experiences, find solace, and cultivate hope. One afternoon, Clara received a phone call that sent her heart racing. A local newspaper wanted to feature the garden in an article about community resilience. This could help us reach even more people. David exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Clara's mind raced with possibilities. If we share our story, maybe we can inspire others to create similar spaces of healing. The world needs more of this. As they prepared for the interview, Clara found herself nervous, reflecting on her journey. She had come so far since David first stopped and smiled in her garden. It was time to step into the light to share her truth. The day of the interview arrived, and Clara stood in the garden, her heart pounding with anticipation. As the reporter arrived, Clara took a deep breath, reminding herself of the resilience that had brought her here. Tell me about the garden, Clara, the reporter prompted, her notebook poised and ready. Clara smiled, her voice steady as she began to share. This garden was born from love, loss, and the belief that we can grow through our struggles. We've created a space where people can find hope and community, regardless of their past. As she spoke, Clara felt a swell of empowerment. She was not just a gardener, she was a voice for resilience, a beacon of hope. David stood off to the side, his heart swelling with pride. The article was published, and soon, people from further afield began to visit the garden. Clara and David organized new workshops and events, bringing in local artists, chefs, and speakers to share their wisdom. The garden became a vibrant tapestry of life, a place where stories were exchanged and dreams took root. Yet, amid the flourishing garden and growing community, Clara was still on her healing journey. As winter approached, she often found herself reflecting on her husband and the memories they had shared. One evening, as snowflakes began to fall, Clara lit a small candle in her home, a gesture to honor his memory. David, she said softly, calling him over, can you help me with something? He joined her, curious about her request. Clara held the candle gently. I want to create a small memorial in the garden, something to celebrate the love we shared and to remember that growth comes from both joy and sorrow. David nodded, understanding the importance of this gesture. Absolutely, we can add a bench with a plaque and plant flowers around it that will be a space for reflection. As they worked together to create the memorial, Clara felt a sense of peace envelop her. The act of honoring her husband helped her process her emotions, allowing her to embrace the beauty of their love while welcoming the new relationship she had forged. The day the memorial was completed, Clara stood before it, her heart full. David stood beside her, a comforting presence. This is beautiful, Clara. It is a reminder that love endures, no matter what. Clara placed her hand on the bench, a symbol of both remembrance and renewal. Thank you for being here with me. I feel like I am finally starting to find my way. As snow blanketed the garden, Clara and David knew that even in the coldest months, life continued to thrive beneath the surface. Their bond had deepened, solidified by their shared experiences. Each challenge faced together forged an unbreakable connection. In the heart of a bustling city, amid the towering glass buildings, the community garden stood as a testament to resilience, love, and growth. Clara was not just a gardener, she was a cultivator of hope, a reminder that even through the deepest pain, beauty could emerge, rooted in the human spirit. As the new year approached, Clara and David stood together in the garden, surrounded by their blossoming community. The sunless rays broke through the clouds, illuminating the vibrant petals of the flowers. Together, they turned their eyes toward the horizon, knowing that their journey was still unfolding, filled with challenges yet to come, but also with the promise of hope and boundless possibilities ahead. Hush, 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 she was just a gardener until the rich CEO stopped and smiled. Part 3. As the new year dawned, Clara found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this moment. The garden, once a solitary refuge, had transformed into a vibrant community space, pulsing with life and laughter. People from all walks of life gathered to share, learn, and grow. But with growth came new challenges, and Clara felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Are you ready for the New Year's community potluck? David asked one morning, a warm smile lighting up his features as he approached Clara, who was carefully tending to the delicate seedlings in the greenhouse. Clara nodded, her heart fluttering with excitement mixed with anxiety. I am, but I can shake the feeling that I need to make it special, especially after everything the community has done for us. David crouched beside her, brushing the soil from his hands. You've already made it special just by being you, Clara. Just think about how far we've come. The garden is alive with hope because of your heart. She met his gaze and felt a sense of warmth spread through her. Thank you, David. Your support means the world to me. Sometimes I worry that I am not doing enough. You do more than enough. You've created a safe haven for so many people, David reassured her. Maybe we can incorporate some new activities for the potluck, games, storytelling, something to share our hopes for the coming year. Clara's face lit up. That is a wonderful idea. Perhaps we could ask everyone to bring a dish that represents their hopes or dreams. It would be a meaningful way to connect. As they brainstormed, Clara felt a surge of inspiration blossom within her. The garden had become a tapestry woven with threads of shared experiences, and she wanted to celebrate that unity. The days leading up to the potluck were filled with preparation. Clara and David worked tirelessly, decorating the garden with colorful streamers and lanterns. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation, and the community buzzed with excitement. Yet Clara couldn't shake the nagging feeling that she was being pulled in too many directions. On the day of the potluck, Clara woke early, the sun barely peeking over the horizon. She brewed a pot of her late husband's favorite herbal tea, a comforting ritual that grounded her. As she stood in the kitchen, memories flooded back: his laughter, the warmth of his embrace, the dreams they had shared. With a bittersweet smile, she poured the tea into her thermos, reminding herself that while those memories were precious, they didn't have to overshadow the present. Today was about the garden, the community, and the promise of new beginnings. As the sun rose higher, the garden filled with laughter and the aroma of diverse dishes: soulful stews, fragrant curries, and freshly baked bread. Clara moved among the guests, her heart swelling with joy as she watched families interact and friends reconnect. Clara, come try my famous quinoa salad, shouted a local chef, waving her over with a grin. She laughed, accepting the invitation. I'd love to. You always make the most delicious dishes. As she savored the flavors, Clara felt the vibrant energy of the garden wrap around her like a warm blanket. She watched as children played games, their laughter mingling with the soft rustling of leaves. In that moment, she realized just how much healing had taken place. Clara, David called, approaching her with a plate piled high with food. "You've outdone yourself. Look at all these people. They're reliving it." "They really are," she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. "It feels incredible to see everyone come together like this." David motioned for her to follow him to a small gathering of community members seated on blankets, sharing stories about their hopes for the new year. Clara settled beside them, charm and camaraderie lighting up her spirit. "I hope to travel more this year," a young woman confessed, her eyes sparkling. "I've always dreamed of exploring new cultures and cuisines." "That's wonderful," Clara encouraged, her voice bright. "Travel can open our hearts in so many ways." The stories flowed like a gentle stream, weaving together dreams of love, adventure, and healing. Clara felt the weight of her own grief begin to lift, replaced by the warmth of connection. As the sun began to dip low in the sky, casting a golden glow over the garden, Clara stood to address the guests. "I want to thank you all for being here today. This garden is not just a patch of land, it is a reflection of our shared hopes and resilience. Together, we've created something beautiful." Applause erupted, and Clara's heart swelled with pride. "Let us continue to nurture this space, to grow together, and to support one another through the storms and sunshine alike." David stepped forward, his voice steady and full of admiration. "Clara is right. Let us carry this spirit into the new year. Together, we can make a difference not just in this garden, but in our lives and the lives of those around us." As the evening unfolded into laughter and storytelling under the twinkling lights, Clara felt a sense of belonging that she had yearned for. She was surrounded by kindred spirits, all of them together in their dreams and struggles. But as the night wore on, Clara's heart grew heavy again as memories of her husband flickered in her mind. She stepped away from the festivities, seeking solace beneath the cherry blossom tree. The gentle rustling of petals reminded her of the delicate nature of life, one moment filled with joy, the next shadowed by loss. "Clara." David's gentle voice broke through her reverie, causing her to turn. He approached with a concerned expression. "Are you okay? You seemed a little distant." She sighed, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. I feel overwhelmed sometimes. This garden is a beautiful reminder of what we've created, but I also feel the absence of my husband. It hits me in waves, especially during moments like this." David stepped closer, his eyes filled with empathy. "It is only natural to feel that way. Your love for him is a part of you, Clara. It doesn't diminish because you find happiness here. You honor him by allowing yourself to feel everything." His words wrapped around her like a soft embrace. "I know you're right. That is just how to reconcile these feelings. I want to be strong for this garden and for the community, but sometimes I feel like I am balancing on a tightrope." "You don't have to be strong all the time. Vulnerability is strength too," David assured her, his voice soothing. "We're all here for each other. Lean on us when you need to." Clara took a deep breath, letting the tension ease from her shoulders. "Thank you for being so understanding. I am grateful for you, David." As the potluck continued behind them, Clara felt a sense of release. She realized that sharing her struggles didn't diminish her strength. It was an invitation for connection and understanding. As winter melted into spring, the garden flourished even further, blossoming with new life. Clara found herself diving deeper into her emotional journey, hosting workshops focused not only on gardening but also on self-care and mental wellness. She invited local therapists and community leaders to speak about resilience, fostering a deeper understanding of the human experience. With every workshop, Clara felt a profound sense of purpose. People began to share their stories, tales of loss, healing, and the transformative power of community. Clara found solace in shared struggles, and her own grief began to take on a different hue, transforming into a tapestry of hope. One evening, as the sun cast a warm glow over the garden, Clara sat with David on the bench they had built in memory of her husband. The fragrance of blooming flowers filled the air, and laughter echoed throughout the community. "Can you believe how far we've come?" Clara marveled, her heart lighter than it had been in ages. "I never imagined this garden would become such a beacon of hope for so many." David smiled, a hint of pride in his gaze. "It is a testament to your spirit, Clara. You've nurtured not just plants, but souls." Their hands brushed together, igniting a warmth that both startled and comforted Clara. "You've been my rock, David. I don't know where I'd be without you. And I am grateful for you, Clara. You've shown me the beauty of simplicity and community," he replied, his eyes sincere. "You've brought life back into my world. I think about how we can continue to grow this place, to spread this hope." As spring turned into summer, Clara and David worked hand in hand, nurturing the garden and expanding their vision. They began to create partnerships with local schools, teaching children about nature, responsibility, and the importance of giving back. Clara felt a newfound joy in sharing her love of gardening with the next generation. One sunny afternoon, as Clara led a group of children on a planting adventure, she paused to watch them. They were all giggles and dirt-stained hands, each of them captivated by the magic of planting seeds. Clara's heart swelled with gratitude. "Remember," she said cheerfully, "just like we replanting these seeds in the ground, we replanting our hopes and dreams for the future. With care and patience, they'll grow strong." Hush, 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 she was just a gardener until the rich CEO stopped and smiled. Part 4. The summer sun shone down upon the community garden, illuminating the vibrant blooms and casting a warm glow on Clara and David as they worked side by side. The air was alive with the sounds of laughter and the scent of fresh basil, rosemary, and the sweet tang of ripe tomatoes. Clara had spent countless hours nurturing this space, and it had rewarded her with an abundance of life, not just in the garden but in her heart. As they tended to the vegetable patches, Clara looked up, her eyes catching the sparkle in David's as he bent to check on the budding peppers. "It is amazing how much this place has transformed," she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Just a few months ago, I was drowning in my own sadness. Now, look at what we've rebuilt together." David stood tall, wiping his brow with the back of his hand. "It is a testament to your spirit and resilience, Clara, but it is also a reminder that it is okay to lean on others. Building something beautiful takes a community, not just one person." She nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you. Your support has been a lifeline." "Just doing my part," David replied with a grin. "And I am excited about the new workshop we're planning for next week. Teaching kids about gardening is so important." "Oh, absolutely. I think it is crucial for them to connect with nature, to learn where their food comes from," Clara said, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "Plus, it instills a sense of responsibility and care." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of laughter. Clara turned to see a group of children racing toward them, their street faces glowing with excitement. "Clara," David shouted a little girl named Mia, her braids bouncing with every step. "Can we plant the flowers today?" "Of course you can," Clara replied, her face lighting up. "Today is the day we'll all add some color to our garden. Let us get those flower pots ready." As the children squealed with joy, Clara felt a rush of warmth. Watching them was like witnessing life itself unfurling before her, a vivid reminder of the beauty that came from nurturing growth. Once they gathered around a table laden with colorful pots, Clara began to explain. "Each flower is unique. Just like us, they need sunlight, water, and a little love to thrive, just like you all." She smiled, watching their eyes widen with fascination. David chimed in, "And remember, just like every flower has its own needs, so do we. It's okay to ask for help when you need it. We're all here to support one another." The children nodded, their innocence reflected in their eager expressions. It was as if they understood the deep truth behind his words, the same truth Clara had been discovering through her journey of loss and healing. As the workshop progressed, Clara felt a sense of fulfillment envelop her. She watched as the children dug their hands into the soil, planting seeds with joyful abandon. Each seed represented a hope, a dream, and a future waiting to blossom. It was a reminder that life, much like the garden, was a cycle of growth, decay, and rebirth. Later that evening, as the sun began to set, Clara and David sat on the bench they had built in the garden, basking in the glow of the twilight. "Today was magical," Clara said, her voice soft. "Seeing those kids so engaged, it is everything I hoped it would be." David leaned back, stretching his arms. "You've created something extraordinary here, Clara. The garden has become a symbol of hope for so many. I think it is time to take it a step further." "What do you mean?" she asked, intrigued. "I've been thinking about reaching out to local businesses for sponsorships. We could expand our workshops, create scholarships for kids in the neighborhood, even host bigger events," David suggested, his eyes shining with excitement. Clara felt a rush of possibility. "That sounds incredible. If we can get more resources, we could truly change lives. But I want us to do it together, not just as a business venture, but as a mission, a way to give back to this community that has given us so much," he continued earnestly. Clara's heart swelled. "I love that idea. It feels right to honor this garden not just as our sanctuary, but as a place for others to find their strength too." Just then, a shadow crossed their path. Clara looked up to see a familiar face, Mrs. Johnson, an elderly woman who had become a regular at the garden. Her brows were furrowed with worry, and Clara's heart sank. "Is everything okay, Mrs. Johnson?" Clara asked, standing up to approach her. "Well," Clara, dear, I am afraid I need help, Mrs. Johnson said, her voice trembling. My roof is leaking, and I don't know who else to turn to. I can't afford repairs, and I fear that's only going to get worse. Clara felt a pang of empathy. Of course, we'll figure something out. You shouldn't have to face this alone. David stepped forward. We can organize a community fundraising event. We can reach out to our network. Maybe even start a GoFundMe. Together, we can help get Mrs. Johnson's roof fixed. Really? You'd do that for me? Mrs. Johnson asked, her eyes welling with tears. Absolutely, Clara replied, determination filling her voice. You've been a part of this garden, and we are all part of the same community. We take care of each other. As Mrs. Johnson expressed her gratitude, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was what they were building, a community where kindness thrived, where no one had to face their challenges alone. In the days that followed, Clara and David mobilized the community for the fundraiser. They encouraged everyone to donate, but more importantly, they invited people to come together for a day of fun and connection. They planned a backyard barbecue, a day filled with games, laughter, and stories to share. On the day of the event, Clara could hardly contain her excitement. The garden was filled with colorful banners, children running about, and the scent of grilled vegetables wafting through the air. Clara felt an electric energy coursing through her veins, fueled by the love and support surrounding her. Clara, David called, waving her over. Look at this turnout. I can't believe how many people showed up, she replied, her heart filling with warmth. It is incredible to see everyone coming together like this. As the fundraiser kicked off, Clara marveled at the sense of unity in the air. Neighbors who had barely spoken before now shared stories and laughter. Clara moved through the crowd, greeting familiar faces, her spirit lifting with each interaction. But as the sun dipped lower in the sky, Clara felt a pang of uncertainty. What if they didn't raise enough money? What if it wasn't enough to help Mrs. Johnson? She pushed the doubt aside, reminding herself of the power of community and the beauty of their shared journey. As the evening drew to a close, Clara and David gathered everyone for a moment of gratitude. Thank you all for being here today. Clara spoke, her voice ringing out amidst the gathering. Your support means the world to us. Together, we are not just saving a roof, we're rebuilding a community. Applause erupted, and Clara felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. The warmth of their shared purpose enveloped her, reminding her of the resilience that blossomed in the face of challenges. David took a step forward, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. Let us keep this spirit alive. We have the power to uplift each other, not just today, but every day. Together, we can create a space where hope thrives. As the cheering echoed through the garden, Clara's heart soared. Suddenly, she felt a rush of energy. This was the manifestation of everything she had dreamed about. The garden was not just her sanctuary, it was a beacon of hope for all. In the weeks that followed, Clara and David worked tirelessly to support Mrs. Johnson. Thanks to the fundraiser, they secured enough funds to fix her roof, and in the process, they learned that resilience was not just about overcoming personal loss, but about lifting each other up. One evening, as Clara stood in the garden, the sun casting a golden hue across the blooms, she reflected on the journey they had undertaken. David joined her, his presence a comforting anchor. What are you thinking about? He asked gently, leaning against the fence. I am just overwhelmed by how far we've come, David. This garden has become more than I ever imagined. It is a place of healing, hope, and community, Clara replied, a tear escaping down her cheek. David wiped it away with his thumb, his eyes softening. You've created something extraordinary, Clara. You've transformed not just this garden, but the lives of so many. You're a true inspiration. Clara felt warmth spread throughout her chest. It is because of you, David. You believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. You've been my light through the darkness. He took her hand, intertwining their fingers. Together, we can accomplish anything. Let us keep growing, keep nurturing this garden and all it represents. The world needs more places like this.